Hello, and welcome to season 3 of the Working While Homeschooling podcast, the podcast for workingwhilehomeschooling.com, where our mission is to help homeschool parents make money, maybe even have a career while continuing to homeschool and without losing their sanity. My name is Julie, and I am your host and resident career coach today. I want to thank you all for joining us and listening in. I hope you're doing well. In today's episode, I'm going to be discussing the recent controversy over classical conversations. You were invited to my course, Setting Goals and Actually Achieving Them. This is your chance to start right now choosing the goals that will fulfill you, push you toward your own personal vision, both challenge and motivate you, and propel you toward your success. On top of that, you will create a plan to actually achieve these goals. This course will show you how to create goals that are ambitious, attainable, and fulfilling to your own life vision. End your year with success instead of frustration. A must-have course for everyone. An article about classical conversations popped up in my Facebook feed, and I felt that as representing Working While Homeschooling, and also being a career coach, this is something we really needed to discuss. So I will put the original link to the article in the show notes, and so that you can read this and make decisions for yourself. If you read these accompanying articles carefully, you will notice that not once do they talk about the education model or the curriculum itself. It's completely about the business model, the business side of classical conversations. And that's what I want to focus on today. And specifically, what I want to focus on today are some red flags and pitfalls that if you are considering an entrepreneurial route, whether that be in the homeschool community or not, whatever that might be and look like to you, here are some, let's say, red flags you need to be aware of and you need to look for. Now, out there are business models where you can buy into another company, or you can, a franchise, or perhaps it is a direct selling organization, those kinds of companies. And I'm not going into that today. I only bring it up because those are alluded to in these articles. So I want to talk real with you guys today. And I want you guys to take this as me speaking from my heart and as a career coach. So before we get into the meat and heart of the matter of these articles, let's talk first of all about what draws parents to classical conversations. These are the quote unquote positives of classical conversations. And I will put in the caveat in here. I have never done classical conversations with my kids. I am speaking third party and third hand based on what I've heard from others and from what I've read about the experience. First of all, many people come to classical conversations, which is kind of a for-profit co-op model business, okay? Many people will come to classical conversations specifically for the community. It is a well-organized, run community, and most of them are run very well. So they come for the community, they come for the other people in the co-op, the socialization aspect, as it were. Most classical conversation co-op communities I have heard are excellent, and that can be a great benefit. Do you have to go to classical conversations to get that benefit? No. But it is one of the big reasons I personally hear of why people choose classical conversations and then also stay with it. Another reason is the concept of the classical-based education. Many parents like that. They like the fact that their kids are learning Latin at a young age. They like the idea of the memorization and their recitation. That concept of the education and their program itself is a benefit to some parents. Some parents love the program and the curriculum because it's an all-in-one, kind of all-in-a-box program. You go and basically classical conversations chooses your curriculum for you. Everyone in the program is doing the exact same thing. And in fact, if you were to move across the country and jump into a different co-op in a different place, well, guess what? you would fit right in because everyone across classical conversations is all doing all the exact same thing at the exact same time. For some families, that is one of the reasons they chose it. They like the idea of learning within a community and everyone being on the same curriculum plan. I have seen some homeschoolers come to classical conversations, frankly, from a lack of confidence in their ability to homeschool. It makes them feel better as perhaps a new homeschooler to have the all in a box or all in one program just laid out for them. They like the fact there are tutors or teachers teaching those co-op classes, and the parents are following along with the curriculum. That makes them feel more comfortable and more confident. I remember my being a brand new homeschooler days, and I get it. I understand why new homeschoolers might find that more comfortable, because in my first couple of years of homeschooling, we did use the all in a one box type of curriculum. And it was all laid out for me. And it had the lovely little teacher's manual that said, this is what you say today. This is the project you do. And it gives you step-by-step instructions. Frankly, I chose that on purpose because it made me feel better as the mom. So I totally get how that can be a benefit, especially if you're kind of fighting the lack of confidence, if you're a new homeschooler, and so on. But do you notice that none of that talks about the business aspect of classical conversations? It's all about the community, it's about the program, and so on. So when I'm talking today about the negatives, for those of you that are kind of in the classical conversations world and very, very pro classical conversations, please don't come after me and tell me how I'm anti-classical conversations and how dare I bring this up. Because I will say, in one of the groups where I saw these articles posted today, these were the kind of comments that were coming on that post. How dare you share this article? Really? Yeah. I don't know how do you think it's helpful to have this negative post here to bash a program that others found helpful, knowing that I'm probably going to get a lot of similar comments? For those of you that are very pro classical conversations, that is the reason I spoke about all the benefits of classical conversations first, to tell you honestly, I hear you. Okay, I acknowledge that many people are very happy with this program. However, okay, and remember that however, if you can't see it right now, is written in all caps. There's a big but that comes after that, okay? And that's where we go into the business aspect of classical conversations and what I'm reading in these articles. Now, I've tried to do as much research as I can this morning before recording this podcast, and I'm still collecting information. I am not speaking as an expert who has gone through this myself, but you can Google it and you can find a lot of people talking about their own experiences going through this. So instead, what I want to talk about is from the business owner, business entrepreneur aspect of what I'm reading in these articles. How can these articles about classical conversations impact all of us as mompreneurs, impact all of us who may be in the homeschooling community trying to run a business, whether it be homeschool related or not? There are some glaring red flags to me as a career coach that I need to highlight to you. Every time one of my clients comes to me and they're considering the entrepreneurial route, maybe they've heard of this great opportunity or this great program that they want to do as well, I have a couple of things that I kind of strongly encourage my clients to really investigate first, because a lot of things sound good on the surface. And I know it sounds like I'm being negative Nelly to say sometimes things that sound too good to be true, well, they are. I'm not trying to be negative Nelly here. I want you to be aware. I've lost money in business before, okay? I've been under contract, I've done contract work for other companies where they have frankly stiffed me out of tens of thousands of dollars. And I had to go to court 4 and 5 times to even get a smidgen of that back. And they fought me the entire way. It was an ugly, ugly year. And frankly, it burned me. It really hurt my passion for what I do because someone took advantage of that. One of the things I've noticed amongst our homeschool moms, okay, is one of the things that frankly makes us awesome as homeschool moms. We usually are very passionate people and we usually really want to help others. Okay. I don't know if that's across the board, but these are characteristics I've seen of us. And with that comes the negatives that people prey on. So again, based on what I've been able to research online and on these specific articles, I want to use this current classical conversations controversy that is just now beginning and speak to you about some red flags if you are looking to buy into any sort of business model or you're getting anything that was really frankly related to you working for someone else under a contract. The drinking the Kool-Aid behavior, okay? To me, when everything is rosy and everyone is basically kind of just saying how wonderful this is, almost cult-like, in my personal experience, that's when it becomes too good to be true. That something is not, and I myself have been burned over and over by this. Please learn from my painful experiences. When you walk into a community and everything is too rosy, when everything is so too good to be true, when everyone is talking like they've drunk the Kool-Aid, my antenna automatically go off. Okay. And it could be, all of that could be absolutely true, but I will tell you, it's just one of the things that raise my antenna. One of the biggest red flags for me within these articles, when I'm looking at this from a business perspective, on the business side of it, is the drinking the Kool-Aid encouraged behavior. What does this mean? Well, in the articles and in other websites that I've been researching, when a company highly pushes the kind of everything's rosy, everything's perfect, our way is the only way, drinking the Kool-Aid response, that has always been something that just raises my hackles or kind of sets off my little worried antenna, okay? What is the absolute red flag is when you are hearing from when you're hearing from conversation after conversation, that open questioning and and true concerns are being shut down. When employees' questions, concerns are not being legitimately addressed or being straight out ignored or hidden or shut down or deleted from online or whatever it might be, that is a major red flag for a potential business owner. You're only going to get supported when things are good. Every company, when you start to have employees, my personal belief is that once you are a employer, whether that be under a independent contractor business model or a full-time employee, whatever it is, your job is to educate your staff to do their job to the best of their ability and protect your staff and protect, as well as protecting your organization. Another massive red flag where I have been burnt myself was in the fine print of the contracts. And both of these articles that I will share, plus many others I found very easily by Googling online, talked about the hiding things in the fine print of contracts. If you have a company that has to put things in the fine print of contracts and hide things, it's going to be a problem. And they're purposely doing that because there's a reason. And I've been burnt where there were certain things in the fine print that really screwed me over long term out of thousands of dollars as an independent contractor, which these CC directors are listed. So when they're talking about stuff being in the fine print, the liability and so on, I know exactly what they're talking about. No matter what business you're looking to go into, if you're looking at a contract with someone else, tax liabilities and tax concerns, financial concerns about what you personally are responsible for, what the company is responsible for, and what's left in the gray in the middle. Your HR liabilities and your legal liabilities. This is where you can really get in trouble personally, and you can get in some serious issues. In one of these articles, there are some really major concerns. So the concerns as a business owner, which are extremely valid and should, the things that they were running into that you need to look at in any business opportunity as well, are your HR liabilities, your legal liabilities, and your safety liabilities. And what support you are getting from your overseeing organization in all of those liabilities. How is the organization addressing any liability you may have? Not to mention the tax implications. Okay, these concerns and these liabilities and tax implications, these are kind of the checklist of things you need to start looking for and asking a lot of questions about before you sign anything, regardless of what company it is. So they are talking about being liable for state and federal taxes that they didn't know about. They were running things based on how they were told to run things and then finding out that that was not matching state and federal tax laws. Finding out that they were asking questions in interviews based on religion and family background and things that open them up to HR liability, because legally you can't ask those questions in job interviews. That is that could be discrimination based on hiring. So again, that opens you up to HR liability, even though the company's telling you to ask those questions. Liabilities as to having to sign contracts and leases for space where they were holding this So in one of these articles, they talk about a desperate mom who was consumed with stress because she was being audited by the IRS, and they had found out through this audit they were owing thousands in back taxes, and it was going to ruin their family financially. As your career coach, guys, I'm not trying to be the party pooper. I'm trying to save you from this. I would rather you back out of a business opportunity before you get into it than to be in that kind of situation. That flips me out. Okay, guys? So again, ask these hard questions before you sign anything. If you're looking at a company where they want you to sell product and recruit people or whatever it might be, what's your liability if all of that, those thousands of textbooks don't get sold because you don't have enough people to sign up for your co-op? And you've just bought thousands of books because you were told you're going to have 500 people sign up. And now you have thousands of books in your garage that you can't get rid of, you couldn't pay someone to take. Again, that's a financial, that's a tax liability, and so on. So don't leave yourself open to financial concerns, tax concerns, HR, and legal concerns. Do your homework. And here's another thing that I see over and over and over when it comes to us women, especially us women entrepreneurs. I'm going to say this straight because I don't want there to be any misconstruing in what I'm saying. There are organizations, there are people, there are corporations out there that their entire business model is to take advantage of well-meaning women. Straight up. I'm not playing around with that. And you notice I'm not saying any company. Okay, I'm not even legally, I'm not even insinuating that this is classical conversations. Don't come after me, people. I'm just saying it's been proven time and time again that there are entities out there that want to prey on your good heart. How do I know this? Because time after time after time, I hear women say, well, this is a ministry for me. It's not a business. I'm doing this because it's important. And I'm doing this kind of as an ministry for me. There's nothing wrong with that. But when your family can't put food on the table because of your quote unquote ministry, when it's taking time away from your family, when it's, when it's sucking away your life with your family versus compensating you for that time away from your family, then that's a problem. Even a nonprofit has to pay its employees, and it has to pay its employees a fair market value wage. Now, in the hiring world, there's a known adism. Nonprofits are cheap when it comes to salary versus the corporate world. And I'm saying all of this with that being implied. I'm not saying it needs to pay you as much as, Facebook or, Amazon, for example, but at least has to pay you a fair market wage. I ran some numbers based on this article. In both of these articles, there is a really great spreadsheet chart that will show you are the average director profit. Okay, that's the money that goes in your pocket and pays for your groceries after all of your expenses. The average average was about $2,800 a year. Okay, which sounds a little low, sure. But then you'll hear someone say, well, sure, but it's a ministry. Okay, fine. It's a ministry. So make it a nonprofit so it actually is legally and tax-wise a ministry. Okay, that's fine. And they're saying, well, it's a part-time job. I'm really only working 20 hours a week. Fair enough. I'm okay with working part-time. But when I start to do the math, 20 hours a week at 52 weeks a year is 1,040 hours. When you do the math, and you divide $2,811 by 1040, that averages out to $3.56 per hour worked. I'm going to be honest with you. I think that 20 hours a week is a very highly conservative number. And one of the things I'm constantly doing with my business entrepreneur clients is frankly timing them. How much time are you really devoting to this business? I mean, every single minute you're devoting, thinking about it, doing something, making calls, phone calls, thinking about the phone calls you actually have to make, prepping, planning, and so on. I can only imagine that 20-hour-a-week average is frankly not true. It's far too conservative. When you really look at a time log, you're probably doing close to 30, which is much less. And that's going to be even worse than the $3.56 per hour that these people are making after expenses. That's sad. Okay, that's not even minimum wage, which means it's not fair market value. So you're putting all of this effort and all of these hours to make half of minimum wage, and that's it. Half of minimum wage, guys. Okay, not great. That's not great. And yes, some made more and some made less. This is an averaged amount. You can look it up right on these websites. So when you're looking at any business model, doing a time evaluation of how much time you're really going to be spending for devoted and what that is divided out by the hour can be very, very eye-opening. Many entrepreneurs are horrified and shocked when it comes around time to start running numbers and start running finances. So in order for that not to happen to you and for you to make sure you are at least getting a fair market value for your work, start at the very beginning. Do your research far in advance. Again, it is still considered as a win as an entrepreneur if you do not sign the contract. Okay. Most people see that I've gone through all of this research and I'm not doing this, so now it's a failure. No, that is a success because you've decided before you lost any money in a business, you have figured this all out before you got too far down the line. It's still a success, and I take it as such. No matter what, ladies out there, okay, we women denigrate our work. Okay, this is a constant issue I have with clients. We denigrate our work. We denigrate our value. Study after study after study has proven this. You deserve to be paid what you're worth. And what I'm saying is you deserve to be paid fair market value for your skills and experience. Okay, i.e., more than minimum wage. A lot of women go into these kinds of organizations hoping they will make money and hoping this will be an income opportunity for them and praying that that KoolAid drinking mentality is going to rub off on them too. And then when it doesn't, what I hear is, well, yeah, but I consider this a ministry. I've accepted this because it's a ministry I'm doing out there for the community. Well, that's great. But people in ministry burn out all the flipping time. And when I hear of people burning out of co-ops, I have led scouting troops myself. And when burnout comes, it usually comes from being unappreciated and unsupported. One way companies can really make sure that their employees, i.e. staff, whether that's contractors or actual employees, are being appreciated and supported is making sure they're being paid at least a decent fair market value for the time and effort they're being put in. If you're going into one of these organizations where it is kind of an independent contractor type model, then and your income is based completely and 100% on your efforts, i.e. commission of some sort, other ways they can support you is by being very open and honest about how to run the business aspect of the business, not just doing the work or in this case, running a co-op or whatever it might be, because you could be great at that and be losing your shirt still. They could have tons of great information. They could write their contracts in such a way that you are completely protected and supported by the organization itself for all tax liability, for all tax, finance, HR, and legal liability. Okay, their contract can be written in such a way that it protects you as much or even more than it protects them. They can also educate the snot out of you when it comes to all of these, so you can be a really smart business owner. They can be honest about the fact that you are running a business versus hiding it under ministry or a nonprofit or, a service, AKA nonprofit that's not here to AKA make money. They could be honest with you about that. They can have open door policy on concerns, comments, and addressing issues. They could be backing up their people and backing up that rose-colored language to make sure the reality fit the idealism. It can be open about their competition versus saying, our way is the only way. Everyone else is garbage. Okay, that's usually when people start being, let's say, cultish, as in you're in our group or you're garbage, and no negative salt. You're either 150% in or you're 150% out, and there's no in between. Well, those are red flags. Okay, healthy organizations don't have to run like that. And again, I'm saying this as something to look at for any company. Don't come after me, classical conversations. I did not say this was you. This could be any company. You notice I'm not bringing up names, okay? I'm using this as an example of things we should be wary about when we're looking at going the entrepreneurial route, no matter what it may be. So here, guys, so let me wrap it up by saying what I read in these articles was of great concern to me. And as a career coach who loves to support entrepreneurs, I saw a lot of concerning, let's say, amber flags, if not red flags, brought up as issues within these articles. All of these amber/red flags can be applied to any business model. And before you get into any business relationship, please look into these and make sure you are protected. Now, as we wrap up our episode today, I want to thank you all for listening in. There are a ton of great podcasts out there, but you chose to spend your time here with me, so thank you. In the show notes, you're going to find links to my site, workingwhilehomeschooling.com, and all of the great ways you can connect with me online. And if you enjoyed today's podcast, please consider becoming one of our listener supporters by following the link in our show notes. A small monthly donation helps me continue with great content and interviews like you've heard here today on the Working While Homeschooling podcast. Your positive online reviews, subscribing to our podcast, and sharing it with your friends is greatly appreciated as well. And if you know someone that you think would be a great guest of our podcast, please let me know at julie@workingwhilehomeschooling.com. Thank you for listening in today. And please, everyone, make sure you're joining us in our Facebook group for continuing conversation on today's topic and beyond. I look forward to seeing each of you soon at our next podcast for Working While Homeschooling.